Potato.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Ann Sanders.
First at 4, good afternoon. An elderly man has been killed and his wife seriously injured in an horrific home invasion in Sydney's northwest. 2 armed men stormed their house in Cherrybrook just after midnight, ambushing them while they watched TV. Andrew Denny has more. Andrew, this attack has rocked the quiet neighbourhood.
That's right, it was just after midnight here at Cherrybrook in Sydney's northwest that a husband and wife were violently attacked during a home invasion when 2 men broke in. 86-year-old Colin Saliba was savagely beaten and rushed to hospital with critical head injuries, but sadly he died hours later. Police say he was set upon when he came to the defence of his 84-year-old wife, Josephine. At this stage, police believe at least 2 men wearing face coverings smashed the front door and confronted the elderly couple. Josephine's cries for help is what alerted neighbours to what was unfolding.
When the screaming started up again, I raced up the road and she was covered in blood.
I'm actually shaking. I feel like crying. That they are very lovely people.
Now, police suspect this was targeted, but they don't know why. The Saliba family own a large apple orchard business at Bilpin, which is currently for sale. That is one of many lines of inquiry homicide detectives are now looking at.
We don't believe it's a random attack, but the reasons for the attack we are still investigating. It's very early days yet, but we'll look at all avenues.
Forensic teams have spent all day examining the house and this street where the 2 men are thought to have run off and disappeared down a laneway. Anyone in the area who might have seen something suspicious this morning is asked to come forward and contact Crime Stoppers.
A day after the tragic news, another 4 people had lost their lives at the Newmarch House nursing home from COVID-19. Families have had some of their first face-to-face contact with relatives living there. Reporter Alex Hart is outside the facility in Western Sydney. Alex, families have been calling for better communication with their loved ones.
Yes, and the families of several residents are gathering here again this afternoon for their daily vigil, not only to remember and mourn the tragic loss of life, but also to continue their fight for better care and communication. They were stunned to learn today that one of 2 staff members who tested positive yesterday had still been working in the facility this week.
Oh. It's dumbfounding. I mean, when is it going to end?
We will be investigating the source of infection in that case and looking for any potential explanations for that.
The family sent a strongly worded letter to the operator Anglicare last night addressing several issues, including the lack of communication, prompting a blunt message from the Premier this morning.
You need to lift your game in communicating to loved ones. It's not acceptable to keep people in the dark.
The federal government has asked the Older Persons Advocacy Network to send in more help.
To put a worker on site to assist families with up-to-minute information on their loved ones.
There were some rare moments of joy for the families. First, the daughters of one infected resident spotted their mum through a fence. Then, a short time ago, another resident's daughter was allowed to go to her mother's window and see her up close for the first time in weeks.
I'm just trying not to cry. I'm going to probably cry. It was so good to see her, and she really was quite okay today.
Despite the concerns that have been raised, Anglicare says it is doing everything it can to keep residents in touch with their loved ones and will organise more window visits for other families throughout the week.
A childcare centre in Western Sydney has closed its doors after a 4-year-old tested positive to coronavirus. The young child attended the Bright Minds Academy in Cranebrook for 2 days while infectious. New South Wales Health is now contact tracing and urging anyone with symptoms to be tested.
In the light of that case in that childcare centre, we'd also like a focus in that general community around the Cranebrook, Penrith, LGA area.
The case was one of 11 new coronavirus infections in New South Wales, taking the state's toll to 3,016. The Premier has issued a stark warning. The planned easing of restrictions this week will be scrapped if people don't behave.
We have to stay vigilant because we've seen around the world countries they think they're over it, they get complacent, and then thousands of people die as a result in a very short period of time.
Under the changes, 2 adults and their children will be allowed to visit other households. Prime Minister Morrison has defended his plan for a global coronavirus inquiry as unremarkable and entirely reasonable. His suggestion has stirred a furious diplomatic response from Australia's major trade partner, China, who described the plan as dangerous. Political correspondent Tim Lester is live in Canberra. Hello, Tim. The spat between Canberra and Beijing has developed today.
And a deal for coronavirus tests in Australia will likely help relations between the two countries, though Prime Minister Morrison is standing firm on his demand for an inquiry.
Now, it would seem entirely reasonable and sensible that the world would want to have an independent assessment of how this all occurred so we can learn the lessons and prevent it from happening again. I don't think this is a remarkable suggestion.
But China's ambassador in Canberra has warned Australia's role leading the push could lead to consumer boycotts of Australian exports. Ambassador Cheng has also revealed details of a conversation with the Secretary of Foreign Affairs and Trade, claiming she congratulated China on its early suppression of the virus. As Mr Morrison waved off the fight,
Australia will do what's in our interest and in the global interest.
His health minister was applauding a $320 million deal between mining billionaire Andrew Forrest and a Chinese genome sequencing company, BGI, to deliver 10 million coronavirus tests in Australia. That's almost 20 times the number of COVID-19 tests already done in the country.
We're all in this together. Solidarity and cooperation is the only way to overcome the public health challenge.
And Tim, the Prime Minister has spoken about which social restrictions he believes will stay in force the longest.
And he has he's talked up the return of big sport, but without the crowds, and the return of air travel, but only domestic.
And it won't be exactly like it was before. I can't see international travel occurring anytime soon.
And Mr Morrison has also spoken about his hopes Australians will be dining again soon at our restaurants, cafes and pubs. Anne?
Tim Lester in Canberra. Thank you, Tim. Penrith Panthers star Nathan Cleary has avoided a $1,000 fine for breaking social distancing rules. Videos have emerged of the halfback dancing with young women. But because it took place inside his home, he wasn't the one who broke the rules. Peter Fegan joins us from NRL headquarters. Peter, the Premier is furious at the behaviour of some players.
Well, Anne, I'll use the words of Premier Gladys Berejiklian. Disappointing doesn't really cut it. That was the Premier's response when she was asked this morning about the behaviour of NRL players Tyrone Roberts-Davis, Latrell Mitchell, Nathan Cleary and Josh Addo-Carr after videos emerged of the players breaching social distancing rules. And for Nathan Cleary, things have now gone from bad to worse after videos of the Panthers half dancing with girls on the social media app TikTok have surfaced. Now, Cleary, who has been fined by the NRL, originally pleaded ignorance when photos of himself and the same girls were published, saying they had simply visited his home on Anzac Day, had the photos taken with him before leaving. Cleary further says that he wasn't aware of the photos until the next morning, but these videos would certainly contradict his story.
Everybody's trying so hard to stick to the rules. Everybody's trying so hard to do the right thing, and then to have people behave in that way is beyond belief.
Police Commissioner Mick Fuller was equally as disappointed as the Premier. 7 News can confirm Nathan Cleary has been spoken to by police but has avoided a fine. As for the girls, police say they will also be contacted. The NRL, will it increase its penalty handed down to Nathan Cleary? Well, that is unclear at this stage. But what is clear, Anne, is the timing is atrocious as the game intends to commence competition again on the 28th of May. Anne?
Thanks, Peter. 250 years ago today, Australian history changed forever as James Cook and the crew of the Endeavour arrived in Sydney's Botany Bay. Evan Batten has more. Evan, planned commemorations were cancelled due to coronavirus.
Well, so much was planned for today. 250 years after Lieutenant James Cook landed at Botany Bay, or Kamei Botany Bay, and went on to chart the entire east coast of Australia from the New South Wales-Victorian border all the way up to Cape York. But sadly, what was 4 years worth of planning for today because of coronavirus has come to nothing.
A project that would take us around 21,000 kilometres of Australia's coast to 26 ports, and hopefully allowing up to 2 million Australians to come and visit the ship.
And at Botany Bay, special art installations mark where Cook and crew came ashore. Cook being remembered as a genius explorer.
He certainly, to me, in my eyes, was a genius in mathematical terms, as a navigator, to chart part of the world that, of course, had never been mapped before. And he was a carer of men, a great leader of men.
So now, with everything planned for today on hold, the organisers like to think it's not cancelled, just postponed. They're now in the hands of health authorities to decide when the Endeavour will sail again.
Thanks a lot, Evan. Sally Bowery joins us now with a look at the weather. Sal, one more day before temperatures are set to plummet.
Yes, that's right. And we've got a significant cold snap battling across southern parts of the country right now, with an early taste of winter on the way. This is how the day unfolded at Penrith. Temperatures there peaking at 27 degrees this afternoon, thanks to those northerly winds ahead of the change. In the city right now, though, it is currently just hovering around the 20-degree mark, 21 degrees at Bondi, 26 degrees at Bankstown. Let's have a look at that strong cold front, which is rapidly going to change the weather. This thick cloud band is just embedded with thunderstorms. That's the front there. That's going to trigger rain, snow and flash flooding for parts of southeast Australia over the next 48 hours. You can already see some of those storms just firing up as well through parts of South Australia. They'll push into New South Wales and then reach into Queensland into Thursday. Behind the front, we've got some speckled cloud. That actually means it's a very cold air mass, and that's going to drop temperatures down. Tomorrow we could see freezing conditions break records across parts of northwestern New South Wales. Some of the coldest weather they potentially will see there in decades. Rain-wise, some fairly decent falls on the way, particularly across the ranges. They'll pick up the higher amounts. Sydney could see falls of around 20 to 30 millimetres this week. And right now we just have a band sitting to the south of Sydney. It's slowly starting to push closer to us at the moment. We've got light rain forecast into this evening, but I will have the full forecast a little later, Anne.
See you then, Sal. Thank you. Still to come in Sydney's afternoon news on 7, why warplanes have been spotted over New York City as the US hits a grim new coronavirus landmark. Plus, the announcement from Gigi Hadid, nobody saw coming. And $13 billion being offered to private schools to convince them to open classrooms. That's still to come.
Filled with sweet gooiness, topped with deliciousness. It's chocolate heaven in every bite. And so easy to make. This is a mouth-watering decadence in every slice on new Better Homes. Friday at 7 on 7.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The first thing I do after waking up to a delicious breakfast of Be Natural cereal is go right back to bed.
Be Natural. Everyday goodness for real people.
With AGL, get up to $100 in credits. That's $75 for electricity and $25 for gas, just for signing up your home energy with AGL online. Only available at agl.com.au.
NRMA Insurance has always been committed to helping Australians. And while 2020 has already been a year like no other, we remain dedicated to helping our customers through this time. While you're at home, our customer care team is on hand continuing to help, as we always will.
Oh, hi, sweetie.
Hi, Mum.
Mars. Enough chocolate to deal with anything.
Oh, it's very good.
With Apple CarPlay and voice command, the Hyundai Tucson is made for it.
Siri, find me a tent.
Even if you're not.
Colorbond Steel, inspired by Australia's timeless beauty. Colorbond. The colours of Australia since 1966.
Unless you're in possession of a full suit of ancestral armour,
Or comprehensive cover from Noble Oak Life Insurance.
we don't recommend you try this at home. Search Noble Oak Life Insurance.
G'day, Sue. Join me for a walk?
I'd love to, but my legs are aching.
I had the same problem. You need Revitive. It's the circulation booster that gets my leg muscles pumping, which could improve circulation and help relieve aches, pains and swelling. Plus, it's drug-free. It's truth. Someone got Revitive. I'll race you to the cafe. Get Revitive today. It just might change your life.
For Mother's Day, see offers in store or revitive.com.
The world's most exotic fragrances are made by nature. That's why we've created Botanica Fragrances, infused with natural ingredients that are responsibly sourced. Botanica by Airwick.
Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
Head to Macca's right now if you're looking for a treat and get a creamy McFlurry for only $2 or a McValue Family Box for $24.95. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.
You're watching 7's 4 p.m. Sydney News, and this is the view from Cronulla. Right now it's 24 degrees. To pictures just into the newsroom now, Virgin and Qantas planes are right now being parked on a runway at Sydney Airport. These scenes are from our news chopper. Planes are being towed onto the now closed east-west runway. The coronavirus outbreak has grounded dozens of aircraft, crippling the industry. Airlines are now facing a problem they've never encountered before: where to park these mammoth aircraft. The US has confirmed their coronavirus infection total has reached 1 million cases, making up almost a third of the total global tally. Reporter Paul Caddick is in New York. Paul, a sobering warning: the outbreak is far from over.
Good afternoon. The number of cases passing the 1 million mark and the death toll has also reached a fairly sombre marker, now more than 58,000, which means more Americans have died from coronavirus than were killed during the Vietnam War. And a key pandemic model done by the University of Washington has updated its projections to estimate that now around 74,000 people could ultimately die from this disease by August. This as some states are looking to reopen or have started reopening, while around 33 states, including here in New York and states like California, remain shut, saying they won't be looking at reopening for weeks yet. There's also been new questions about how this country responded in the early days of the outbreak, following a report that Donald Trump was getting briefings from intelligence agencies throughout January and February that made clear that China was holding back on information about the outbreak and raising the possible dire political and economic consequences. Here's how the president responded to that today.
I'd have to check. I would have to check. I want to look as to the exact dates of warnings, but I can tell you this: when I did the ban on China, almost everybody was against me, including Republicans. They thought it was far too harsh, that it wasn't necessary.
While in the skies above us here in New York today, we've seen a pretty spectacular, and it was a pretty loud salute to all of the frontline workers who are combating the COVID outbreak, put on by the elite Air Force Thunderbirds and Navy Blue Angels. They were doing a fly past over New York City, over Long Island, part of New Jersey, also Philadelphia today, to pay tribute to all of that work that has been done, and in a show, I guess, of national unity. And more cities will be getting the high-flying tribute in coming weeks. From New York, it's back to you.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has joined in a nationwide minute's silence to commemorate key workers who have died in the coronavirus pandemic. Doctors and nurses stood in silence 2 metres apart to remember their colleagues. More than 100 NHS and care staff have died from the virus. Firefighters in the US have spent the past 3 days battling a large out-of-control fire which has swept through woodland in Mississippi. Thick black smoke forced many roads to close, leaving some residents stranded, while flames leapt far above the tree line. Luckily, no one has been injured. Gigi Hadid and singer Zayn Malik are expecting their first child together, according to American media. The couple has been in isolation on the Hadid family farm in Pennsylvania. The Victoria's Secret angel is reportedly 20 weeks along, according to friends. Next in 7's afternoon news, why now is a better time than ever to get a deal on your home loan. It's easier than you'd expect to get a discount. Plus, big news on the development of a COVID vaccine in Queensland. And in sport with Jim Wilson, more hurdles to clear for the NRL ahead of a season restart.
Tonight on 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
A home invasion leaves an elderly man dead. An awkward news conference tests China-Australia relations, and more trouble for NRL star Nathan Cleary.
Tonight on 7 News at 6.
Harry and Meghan's royal bombshell.
Unthinkable.
The inside story.
So many twists and turns.
A royal rebellion. Premieres tonight on 7.
Why don't you come? Why don't you come? The pleasure's all mine, never getting old. If you're looking for me, I'll be dancing in my own way.
Can you guess why I picked it?
We all pick things with our heart, but when it comes to car insurance, it pays to pick with your head. If you're 25 or over, we'll beat any comparable comprehensive renewal notice. Plus, save up to 15% online. And as a Woolworths car insurance customer, get 10% off your grocery shop each month. So get a quote online and switch today.
That's why I picked Woolies car insurance.
Hi, Chris. As one of our Care Super members, let's go see your super at work. Hold on. I'll show you some of the opportunities and possibilities that are being explored for you. Your super should work as hard as you do, so we're making sure it does.
Introducing BP Rewards. Now you can earn points with every BP purchase.
BP Rewards.
Use BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel. Just to earn Qantas points.
Now that's what I call BP Rewards.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. BP Rewards. Your rewards, your way.
When you choose a bed from AH Beard, rest easy knowing it's made for you. We're an Australian company, family owned for 5 generations, creating some of the best mattresses in the world. Combining traditional handmade craftsmanship with technological innovation, shaping a bed so comfortable and supportive you'll feel our care deep down every time you sleep. Handcrafted in Australia by AH Beard. Available at Harvey Norman.
When cold and flu symptoms strike, a kiss can make them feel better. But for effective relief through the night, there's Nurofen for children. Starts to reduce fever from 15 minutes and lasts for up to 8 hours. Nurofen for children.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians. Will you fight to save people on their car and home insurance? Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
Hey, Powerball is now at $3 million. Are you keen? Well, first you have to play.
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
With pressure mounting on household budgets like never before, families are desperately looking for ways to cut their expenses. There's some good news. Now is the best time to negotiate a better deal on your mortgage. With interest rates at record lows and banks forced to come to the table, it's never been easier to get a deal. Coming up in 7 News at 6, we'll show you how much you could save and what to say when talking to your lender. Time for sport with Jim Wilson. Hello, Jim. More controversy for one of the NRL's biggest names.
Yes, Anne, good afternoon to you. Afternoon, everyone. As you saw earlier, a new video has emerged of Penrith star Nathan Cleary ignoring social distancing laws with a group of women on Anzac Day. Initially, Cleary said the women had only dropped into his house for a few minutes, but new video shows Cleary and the women dancing and flouting the law. The Warriors are yet to get the green light to travel this weekend, but remain hopeful. Players and support staff will set up a quarantine hub in Tamworth, but won't be joined by their families for at least a few weeks.
We just want to get our players there, get the staff there, get sorted, and then we can bring the families in. But I need that support from the NRL.
Now, news just in, clubs will now resume training a day later on Tuesday next week ahead of the planned restart on May 28. Monday will be set down as an information day. The Warriors aren't the only club in a holding pattern, with the Queensland NRL teams wanting to learn where they'll be based. The Broncos, Cowboys and Titans are hopeful they can avoid having to base themselves in New South Wales to train and charter flights into Sydney for games.
We might be able to train at home, which would be fantastic, because I think our ability to actually contain and secure that player group as by the protocols, we've got a greater opportunity to do a really thorough job in our own venue.
A decision on whether Queensland relaxes border controls will be made after the National Cabinet meeting on Friday. Champion all-rounder Elise Perry says her recovery from hamstring surgery is going well and is confident of returning to the field this summer. Perry's 2020 World Cup campaign ended in the Aussies' final group game.
I guess advantage.
Details of the new format will be announced in June. Now, the World Surf League hopes to get the 2020 prize purse as they choose to fellow tour players who are struggling in this health crisis. That's a big call, saying that to the community.
Police corner a runaway Porsche driver and meet the dog who bit off a lot more than he could chew.
Get in my mouth, please.
Cookie people, cream people, crumbs people, clean people, twist people, lick people, dunk people, munch people. It's on the play, people. If you twist, lick, dunk, then you're my people. We are Oreo people.
There's more than one way to date, and with eHarmony's new Video Date, you can get to know that special someone without leaving your home. eHarmony has thousands of singles waiting to meet you. So unlock dating with Video Date, the brand new feature from eHarmony.
At Terry White ChemMart, we're here to help this winter with expert advice from masterclass trained pharmacists and a huge range of pharmacy-only cold and flu products. Get real winter defence at Terry White ChemMart. Now that's real chemistry.
Grown under the Australian sun by fourth-generation apple growers, Modi apples. Juicy, crunchy and deliciously sweet, packed with natural goodness to help keep you healthy. From our family to yours, Modi apples. Every bite a masterpiece.
Bring on the dirtiness, muddiness, sauciness. And how did that get under theiriness? Because with a great range of cleaning solutions, Godfrey's gives you cleanliness.
Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
Definitely.
Wow. Yes. I'll have a slice of that.
Get in my mouth, please.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Welcome back to our Martin Place headquarters. These are our top stories on 7. An elderly man has been killed and his wife seriously injured in an horrific home invasion in Sydney's northwest. A childcare centre in Western Sydney has closed its doors after a 4-year-old tested positive to coronavirus. Penrith Panthers star Nathan Cleary has avoided a $1,000 fine for breaking social distancing rules, despite the release of incriminating new videos. And still to come, what vets found inside the stomach of one very greedy dog. To breaking news out of the coronavirus-stricken aged care home in Western Sydney. Another resident has died. It follows 4 deaths yesterday at Newmarch House and takes the facility's COVID-19 toll to 12. 22 residents remain infected. Anglicare says it's a terrible situation and a challenge for staff, residents and also their families. Private schools are being offered financial incentives to encourage students back into the classroom within weeks. Tom Saker is at the King's School in North Parramatta. Tom, this offer of money from the federal government comes with some strings attached.
Well, and independent and Catholic schools are still trying to weigh up whether to accept the government's offer of a 25% cash advancement on their funding if they can refill their schools by the 1st of June. Education Minister Dan Tehan wrote to independent schools last night with the offer which he hopes will fast-track students' return to school across the country.
They have to commit to having over 50% of their students in the classroom being taught.
It's no more money than independent and Catholic schools would ordinarily receive from the government, but a number of independent schools have already indicated they try to resume normal classes before the end of June, and the Independent Schools Association supports the move, with some schools in dire financial situations.
It's not a handout or a bailout, it's not extra money, it's merely a timing of the payments being allowed to bring forward. What is different is that the Minister has attached some conditions to it.
The Minister for Transport has assured that buses, trains and ferries will be extra clean when students fully return to school, but also that there will be no limit on the amount of passengers, making socially distancing on public transport difficult for students. Term 2 began today for public schools, and parents remain divided on whether the sudden push to have students back in classrooms quickly is the right thing to do.
Thanks, Tom. There's been a coronavirus vaccine breakthrough in Queensland. Early tests have shown the potential vaccine can raise high levels of antibodies that can neutralise the virus. The professor leading the project at the University of Queensland says it's an excellent indication the vaccine is working as expected. Final results are hoped to be in by early June before clinical trials can start. It's just one of a number of vaccines currently in various stages of development around the world. However, despite the progress, medical experts have warned any approved COVID-19 vaccine is still a long way off. Coronavirus panic buying has seen supermarket sales soar. Coles has reported never before seen growth. Our finance editor Gemma Acton joins us now. Gemma, supermarket sales were up nearly 14%.
Yes, Sam, we were of course buying more of those essential items such as rice, flour, toilet paper, but also prices were a little higher during the first 3 months of the year. Partly because we're still seeing the knock-on effect from the bushfires and supply shortages, as well as supply problems caused by panic buying, but also because there was such huge demand, supermarkets didn't feel the need to offer promotions or discounts to try and entice customers in. In fact, Coles says its staff served 100 million customers so far during this coronavirus pandemic. But now things are starting to return to normal. April sales levels are back to what they usually are.
A massive quarter and a massive effort by the Coles team and our suppliers to make sure that we could feed as many people as possible in this crisis. The iconic toilet roll is back in full supply. The restrictions were taken off yesterday. Liquor restrictions were removed yesterday in all states bar WA. There are still around 10 categories that we have restricted quantities on.
So Gemma, how are these results received by investors today?
Well, and Coles was actually one of the worst performing of all Aussie shares today, down by around 4.5%, probably because there will be some costs coming with all of the extra demand, such as the fact they had to take on thousands and thousands of extra staff. Overall, though, it was a great day for the ASX 200, up by 1.5%.
Gemma Acton, thank you. A man's been taken to hospital after he was impaled at a construction site at Belrose. The 25-year-old fell 3 metres onto metal reinforcements and became stuck. It was a delicate operation for emergency crews who worked to free him. He has shoulder injuries and is now in a stable condition. Car thieves at the wheel of a stolen Porsche have posted photos and videos online as they led officers on a chase from the Gold Coast. As Mac Lyon reports, they weren't on the run for long.
The chase came to a dramatic conclusion here in Meadowbrook last night after police used tyre spikes to stop the stolen Porsche. It crashed on Logan Lee Road around 9 o'clock. Before 2 men inside tried to escape on foot. Police crash-tackled one of the wanted men outside this KFC, right in front of Sandra Duffin.
Next minute, drama unfolded. The young bloke come running through the side here, come bolting over, running in and out of cars here. And I was like, oh, geez, sirens were going everywhere. And then I looked up and here's Pol Air and I'm like, oh, God, what's going on here?
The other suspect was found hiding under a car in a resident's driveway just behind the shopping centre on Yeats Crescent.
Come this way now, show me your hands. Just grabbed him, jumped on him, pinned him to the ground and grabbed him, pulled him up.
The Porsche Macan GTS was stolen from Graceville on Monday morning. This video posted online of the moment it was taken. Police had initially tried to pull it over last night on the Gold Coast, but the offenders weren't stopping. Pol Air tracked them from above as they sped up the M1 towards Loganlea. The 20-year-old men taken into custody are now both facing 7 charges, including dangerous operation of a motor vehicle and evading police.
Motoring organisation NRMA is turning its roadside assistance patrols into delivery drivers to help vulnerable members of our community. Jessica Ridley has more. Jess, they're bringing meals and medicine right up to the front door.
Good afternoon. Yes, the NRMA has hundreds of patrol vehicles and crews right across New South Wales. So rather than having them sit idle, they are being put to good use. They're teaming up with chemists, Meals on Wheels, as well as the Red Cross, making hundreds of free deliveries, particularly to isolated elderly residents in need of supplies.
The NRMA spent 100 years keeping people moving. That's what we do. Now we're doing the opposite. Now we're helping people stay at home.
Probably an opportunity where if we do have a little bit of downtime, that we can actually do something to help the community.
The Catholic Archdiocese of Sydney has also helped deliver more than 1,200 care packages to seafarers, some on vessels that won't come ashore for 12 months.
We're hoping that there'll be a little treat for every seafarer on board. Just seeing the delight in their eyes and the tears in their eyes, and maybe not so much for the practical thing, but the hope that it brings that they're not forgotten.
Charity group Good 360 received this big donation from Quilton toilet paper and has been distributing it along with some other basics to families in need in Sydney's southwest, many of whom will still require a helping hand long after this pandemic is over.
Thanks, Jess. Prince Harry has helped celebrate the 75th anniversary of the iconic children's book series, Thomas the Tank Engine. The Duke of Sussex recorded a special introduction to a royal episode of the show Thomas and Friends. Hugh Whitfeld has more.
The anniversary episode of Thomas and Friends features the Queen and a very young Prince Charles.
From what my son has been reading in the books written about it, your North Western Railway is well known for helping out those in need.
And there's one royal in particular who is a big fan of Thomas the Tank Engine, Prince Harry, who, even when he was a very young prince, had a Thomas school bag when he was attending school here in London. Now, all these years on, the Duke of Sussex has recorded a special intro for the anniversary episode of Thomas and Friends. He recorded it back in January before Harry and Meghan fled Britain.
It all began when a young boy lay ill in bed. His loving father entertained him with stories of a special railway on the magical island of Sodor. Those stories would go on to become the tales of the most iconic tank engine the world has ever known, Thomas the Tank Engine.
The episode will premiere in the US and the UK next week.
Thanks, Hugh. We're live to CommSec for the latest on your money next, plus the online sensation getting elderly Australians fitter than ever. What vets found inside this little dog. Don't worry, he's fine. You'll get to meet him shortly. And it's 25 degrees in Campbelltown. Sally will have Sydney's forecast soon.
Are you ready for takeoff?
Yes, baby.
When you're smiling.
Now that's more like it.
When you're smiling.
That is how you do it.
The whole world smiles with you.
How amazing was that?
You're smiling. The whole world smiles.
Get ready. We're celebrating the extraordinary. Brand new Britain's Got Talent. Tonight, 7:30 on 7.
At GIO, we offer you 3 levels of home insurance coverage, so you can choose the one that best suits your needs and budget. It's just one of the many ways you can save with GIO. Call 13 10 10 today. You know with GIO.
Hi, I'm Jo from Westpac, and I'm here to show you how easy it is to set up online banking on your computer. First, type westpac.com.au/register into your browser. Now on this page, select the Register button at the right-hand side of the screen. Next, enter your Westpac card details or your customer ID along with your name and date of birth. You'll find your customer ID on your statement. In some cases, you may be asked some security questions to confirm your identity. You'll need to create a password that you'll use to log back into Westpac online banking. Finally, you'll need to confirm or update your email and mobile number. Perfect. You're all set up. If you need any more information, visit westpac.com.au/register. And above all, please stay safe.
There's more than one way to date, and with eHarmony's new Video Date, you can get to know that special someone without leaving your home. eHarmony has thousands of singles waiting to meet you. So unlock dating with Video Date, the brand new feature from eHarmony.
What's happening now, Detective?
They're still there. You would have thought they'd moved out by now. Got themselves a little unit somewhere.
Call us today to find out more about a reverse mortgage from Heartland. Heartland Seniors Finance.
Oh! So how do they pack so much lusciousness into something so cute?
Clever Joels squeeze luscious fruity flavour in, then 99% of the sugar out.
Clever Joels.
At Apia, we're all about possibilities and making sure you're ready for them. And while not everything is possible at the moment, there are some things you can do. With Apia's comprehensive insurance, you can double up and save. Simply buy new eligible home and car insurance together before July 10 and save 20% off the second policy. Our dedicated specialists are ready to help. Call 13 50 50 or visit apia.com.au.
Big money.
Oh, boy.
Means big risks.
It's a challenge, and I'm up for the challenges.
New The Chase. Weekdays on 7.
Hundreds of older Australians have slipped into their active wear and taken part in a huge online workout for seniors. The biggest online seniors workout was live streamed across a number of platforms this morning. The initiative hopes to keep seniors active and connected during this period of self-isolation. Checking finance now with Tom Petrosky at CommSec. Hello, Tom. A recovery by the banks led the share market higher today.
That's right, Anne. We had the market up by 1.5% today. It was a pretty sprightly improvement. And as you rightly point out, the recovery of the banks stood out, though. They were up by around 5 to 6%. The woes of the beginning of the week seemingly in the rearview mirror for investors, as was the complaints on the part of the energy sector, because oil prices rebounded in Asian trade today, up by more than 10%. So Woodside Petroleum, Oil Search and Santos were up in the order of around 5 to 6%. We saw the cost of living rise to its highest levels in 5.5 years today. The CPI figures coming in hotter than expected, and that was all driven by higher food and beverage prices, and the bushfires and the COVID-19 virus having a bearing there. That helped push the Aussie dollar back above 65 US cents.
Tom Petrosky from CommSec. Thank you, Tom. You're watching 7's Afternoon News live across Sydney. Still to come, meet the dog who ate a fork and survived. We have the delicate operation to save the pet pooch, who bit off a lot more than he could chew. That story coming up in just a few minutes. New South Wales firefighters are taking advantage of cool, dry weather to do some much-needed hazard reduction burns around Sydney. Cameron Price has more. Cameron, the program has been disrupted, ironically, by summer's devastating bushfires.
Well, this is bushland to the northwest of Sydney that was unaffected by this year's horror fire season. Today, work to clear away some of the vegetation and fuel load in time for the return of fires this coming summer. Already, though, with issues surrounding wet weather and coronavirus, authorities are well behind the planned burns this year.
The hazard reduction program has been massively disrupted because of the extraordinary drought conditions and the protracted and extended and deadly and damaging fire season, where over 5.5 million hectares have been burnt out this season.
You can never do enough hazard reduction. We want to make sure we continue to do more. Would I like to do more hazard reduction? Yes, I would, but unfortunately a situation like rain and high winds makes it difficult for us to do exactly what we want to do.
Another issue, the forecast ahead is for a wet winter with above average rainfall, meaning burns like this one simply won't be possible. And with the fire season now starting earlier and earlier, that window to catch up is closing fast.
US investment firm Blackstone Group has acquired a 10% stake in Crown Resorts. Blackstone bought 67 million Crown shares worth $550 million. The shares were purchased from Melco, another casino company which recently pulled out of a full buyout of Crown. Melco has gone from being on the verge of buying Crown entirely to exiting the company in just a few months. Sydney 6 p.m. News is coming up with Mark Ferguson. Hello, Mark. What are you working on in the newsroom?
Yeah, good afternoon, Anne. We're learning more about that elderly couple, victims of a gutless and violent home invasion. An 86-year-old man was killed. His 84-year-old wife remains in hospital. We'll have the latest as police hunt for the killers. Shockingly, the couple appear to have been targeted. Also, emotional scenes at a Western Sydney nursing home where 12 residents have now died from coronavirus. A rare chance to connect as families talk of their devastation and fear. We've also got exclusive details of a woman who tested for COVID-19, then was released from quarantine before those results came back positive. How that was allowed to happen tonight at 6. A look at just how tense Australia's relationship with China has become, a war of words and one very awkward news conference. And leave your passbook behind, the bank's sending a record number of debit cards to older Australians to help them shop online during isolation. And all that and plenty more, 7 News tonight at 6 o'clock.
See you then, Fergo. Thank you. A news conference featuring Andrew Twiggy Forrest quickly descended into chaos today when he was quizzed about China. But the philanthropist was there for a very different reason. Mr Forrest's Minderoo Foundation has brought in 10 plane loads containing nearly 4 million COVID-19 detection kits from China, Europe and the United States. The exact cost to the highly sought-after haul is unknown, but the foundation has set aside $320 million to help fight the virus. 4:48, so let's get a check on Sydney's traffic.
Good afternoon, Marina Ivanovic here in the North Shore Classic Traffic Chopper. It's not looking good through Gregory Hills. We've had a bit of a spillage on Camden Valley Way southbound approaching Gregory Hills Drive. Very heavy delays on the scene going back through to Gleswood Hills, and you can see the right lane is taken out. Who's best qualified to repair your prestige and super luxury vehicle? NSC are factory trained and authorised to work on Bentleys, Aston Martin, Jaguar, Range Rover and Volvo. And a friendly reminder to wear gloves when pulling up at the petrol station.
A playful pup, keen for a taste of his owner's dinner, has bitten off a lot more than food when he scoffed a metal fork. The beloved golden retriever is back at home after a delicate operation to remove the cutlery. Tim Yeatman reports.
Well, it's well known that puppies will eat almost anything, but even Dustin's owners got a shock when he took a fancy to cutlery.
Michael and Delise Pitt were preparing family dinner when the 5-month-old golden retriever decided he'd like to join in.
Set the table, walked away for a minute, and the dog jumped, got his paws up and pulled the plate down and scoffed the lot. Then we're searching the floor trying to find the fork, but it was nowhere to be found.
This was the result. The 10-centimetre utensil became lodged in Dustin's esophagus, prompting a mad dash to the vet.
If I didn't have my training, I would have been concerned that someone had doctored the photo.
With a steady hand, the fork was slowly pulled out through Dustin's mouth.
He was anaesthetised and we put the scope down there and get a good look at the fork. I've got a little loop that I can stick down the end of the scope and the loop around the fork, and it was removed. Reasonably straightforward.
A life-saving procedure that had him back to his boisterous self in no time.
It was surprising. It's the first time I've seen a dog eat a utensil.
I thought it would be impossible, but clearly not.
After his ordeal, Dustin is now happily back at home with his owners, who say they're now extra careful about what the curious puppy can get his paws on.
Paul Pooch. Next in 7's afternoon news, Sally Bowery will be here with your latest weather forecast.
They're the dream family.
We live in our house with our 3 kids.
About to set foot in their dream home.
All right, should we go in, guys?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Oh,
the family-sized whole house reveal.
I'm so overwhelmed.
Wait till you see what they're seeing. The heartwarming transformation.
You okay? Oh, I'm crying because Mummy's so happy.
Just wait till you see inside.
Do you guys love our new family home?
Yeah! The Reveals, Sunday at 7 on 7.
Harvey Norman presents your Westinghouse kitchen in premium dark stainless steel. Create healthier, tastier meals with air fry, available across the entire dark stainless steel range. Steam Assist will add moisture to your roasts whilst leaving a crisp, golden finish. And baking with steam gives you a better rise, crispier crust and fluffier centre. The steam reheat function is perfect for your leftovers. And for a thorough, chemical-free clean, the pyrolytic function will easily remove grease and grime. See the new range from Westinghouse in-store and online now at Harvey Norman.
Welcome to this ever-changing world, where tomorrow will give way to the unknown. Your world can change in a moment. Never stop trying. Knowledge is power. Never stop learning. The future belongs to you. Love, Mum.
As credit to you, here's up to $120 credit from us. Add any selected month-to-month mobile plan with Vodafone and get the credit you deserve over 12 months. Find out more at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
Infused Oil Deluxe Crisps from Red Rock Deli.
The world's most exotic fragrances are made by nature. That's why we've created Botanica fragrances, infused with natural ingredients that are responsibly sourced. Botanica by Airwick.
I'd like a bar of chocolate, please.
Your change.
Happy birthday, Mum.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
What are you here for? Win a lot of cash. Hold hard.
It's go big or go home.
Forget it.
Insult. But big money.
Oh, boy.
Means big risks.
It's a challenge, and I'm up for the challenges.
Belting him out. New The Chase, coming up next on 7.
This weather report brought to you by Bridgestone Select for tyres and car servicing.
Caught being greedy. Why haggling your home loan right now delivers unprecedented savings. Future-proofing your mortgage on 7 News tonight.
A huge but harmless asteroid will shoot past Earth in just a few hours. 1998 OR2 was first spotted 21 years ago by astronomers and has been tracked ever since. Tonight, in the early evening, the monstrous asteroid will pass the planet from a safe distance of 6 million kilometres. Sal's back now. Sally, we're being warned to brace for some wintry weather.
Yes, that's right, Anne. A cold snap is heading our way with storms, snow and freezing conditions expected across the state. Right now, temperatures are still fairly warm ahead of that change. 24 degrees in Bondi and 26 at Parramatta. Let's have a look at that cold front, though. It is tracking towards us. The system will whip up some fairly wintry conditions. Rain, snow down to around 800 metres across the alpine areas, as well as flash flooding and frost possible in the southeast. Falls of up to 100 millimetres are possible with thunderstorms embedded in the system. The heaviest falls will just be on the ranges. Around the capitals tomorrow, Brisbane heading for 29 degrees with showers and possible storms, 13 in Canberra and also in Melbourne, 15 in Hobart. Adelaide heading for a top of 15 degrees, and it will be sunny and warm in Perth tomorrow, heading for a top of 22. Across the suburbs, Sydney is expected to see some fairly widespread rain. In terms of falls, the heaviest falls will be along the coast, around 20 millimetres expected, around 15 millimetres or so for the western suburbs. 22 will be the top of the lot at Manly and Liverpool, and 15 degrees in Katoomba. The city's heading for 23 tomorrow with some rain, and just the chance of a gusty storm will drop down to 20 degrees this evening. Now, looking further ahead, temperatures are set to plummet on Friday, 16 degrees in the city and 15 degrees in the west, but looks looks like the weather, Anne, should start to clear up on the weekend.
All right, hold on to your hat. Thank you, Sally. And that's Sydney's 4 p.m. news for this Wednesday. Mark Ferguson will bring you 7 News at 6. I'm Ann Sanders. Stay with 7 Now for the Chase Australia, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night. Bye for now.
I don't like to kiss and tell. But I believe in second chances.
Miss that smile? Maybe this new life suits you.
You slept with my brother. You covered it up for 20-odd years. And my daughter might be his.
I can't do it. What if he's not my dad?
I'll always be your dad and you'll always be my daughter.
Ben?
Who is that anyway?
I told you to stay away.
Jasmine? Colby, wait!
You know that I'm here for you. We're family now.
Home and Away. This week at 7 on 7.
These 4 strangers must work as a team to win thousands of dollars. But standing in their way is one of the sharpest minds in Australia, the Chaser. The chase is on. Welcome to the Chase Australia, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have your company. This team's very friendly, very happy. They're not angry at all. And they're bound for glory. Here they are.
Hi, my name's Matt. I'm a primary school teacher and I can't help binge watching TV shows no matter how bad they are.
Hi, I'm Anthony. I work in aged